All right, guys, I wanted to say a couple words about when trading. If a stock doesn't do what it should do, you probably have a good trade the other way, okay? I'm going to use J.C. Penney's as an example. This is what the daily chart looked like before today. I've omitted today's daily candle out of this for the purpose of just showing you what it looked like before. If you look back here in August, the low right here was 23.44, okay? Now, J.C. Penney sold off early and took out those lows. I'm going to go to the intraday chart and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, now these are 5-minute candles from today. J.C. Penney's, remember 23.44 was that low. So right off the bat, it just really sells off here. 23.44 is, if I had to guess, somewhere right about here. Okay, takes that out, but it's not unusual that it gets a bounce from that area. Okay, it had come pretty far, pretty fast to take out those lows, and so somebody's texting me. All right, and so you get the bounce. Now this is what is interesting to me. All right, J.C. Penney's bounces, does not come back to the high of the day. Then it comes back down. The low here, 23.21. Now right here, takes out that low. Okay, remember there's no support on the daily chart below those August lows, and remember took those out early. Bounces. Now this is a situation where you've got basically a double bottom, so it makes sense that you get a bounce here too. None of this is unusual to me, but now you get the bounce and you're up between the 8-period and the 20-period moving average, 5-minute candles. This is an area where sellers normally would come in on a weak stock, and they did. Okay, they push it back down again. Now this is the third test of the low of the day, and remember that longer term chart. Now buyers come in. Now look, I'm going to add one more candle, and buyers fail. This is an area to me, looking at that long-term chart, then the intraday chart, where this should have just fallen apart. You know, a great short idea, all right? But this is what's interesting. This is what I mean. J.C. Penney's should have fallen apart here. No support. The bounces were just not very solid. No buying. Buyers are getting slammed each time it bounces. You're getting lower highs. You had the opening high, lower high again. Failed little bounce here. This should have been off to the races to the downside. Now look what happens. Buyers come in again. So now the sellers that sold here between what we call the sell zone, the 5.8 and 5.20, they were able to push it to the low of the day. They get a little bounce, and now they're really in control. No, they're not. They were only able to push it down to, let's see where it got to, 23.14. Okay, then buyers come in again, back to that 5.20. This is a very significant place, this 5.20 here. But the proper way to look at this is now sellers just losing strength, okay? You're getting a battle here. Nice volume in this base. You're getting this base here right below the 520. You've seen this in a lot of our other videos. Okay, sellers just no strength anymore, and now you've got a battle up over this 520. In other words, up over this base. I'm going to say 23.34, something like that, up over this base with a stop below this base makes absolute sense because this should have sold off, and it absolutely didn't. Okay. And then there is the base break, and from there it was just off to the races. Up another buck from there, and look how tight the stop would have been. So this is a great example. There's the stop, and there's the entry right above that base. This is a great example of a stock not doing what you think it's going to do. You probably have a good trade the other way. Okay, and as an example from today in our chat room, I can show you one that I put on the radar of our traders here. NAV, when it looked like this, NAV was getting killed. It's been a pretty good trader lately. Okay, another example. Okay, you got a bounce here to the 5.8, comes back down, couldn't take out the lows of the day. Now you get a bounce to the 5.20. Okay, this is an area where sellers should come in. Little spinning top, doji, whatever you want to call that, indicates that we're probably going to get some selling. Now when it looked like this, I went ahead and made an official call. I said over this green candle, I called it on first break of a previous 5-minute candle's high, which at the time I typed out the trigger and stop. 25.86 if it breaks this candle's high, with a stop at 25.67. So not quite 20 cents. Now what happened, and this is, actually I'm advertising one of my blunders for the day, but we still had people do really well on it. What happened was, I'm projecting this live, and then look what happens. I'm still like it over this area. My thinking is sellers came in. If they fail here, this could be nice and off to the races to the upside. Now here's what happens. instead of getting up to my trigger price, it goes down. When it looks like this, when it looked like this, I went ahead and astutely typed out cancel my NAV idea for now, because I'm thinking sellers are winning here. Look what happens right after I cancel it. Find support again. Now remember, my idea was up over that red line. Okay, up, let's try that again. Up over this red line, this is where the sellers are probably going to give up. Okay, look what happens. Little base and then it goes. But I canceled it on this red candle, never took the trade, and it was off to the races. I'll give you the numbers again, 25.86. It ends up closing at the high of the bounce, 27.21. So what, I mean, $1.40 almost, and the stop would have been below that base, about 20 cents risk. So there's an example of what I'm trying to teach, even though this is actually an advertisement for me being a dunderhead in this case, but didn't take the trade. I know the reason I'm showing it though, or I talk about some members making money, is some of our members were smart enough to say, hey, just because Mike said cancel it for now doesn't mean it's not relevant if it gets up there, and plenty of people take that, and a beautiful move. So, but I'm not one of them, unfortunately. It's still a great example of thinking about where the sellers, where the buyers are involved in that stock, at what prices should make a difference, and a very nice trade for a few of our members, and JCPenney's was also another good example of that. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later.